from the All Indiana Podcast Network. It's Diversity Focus Today. Now, here's your host, Rickie Solid Gold Clark.
And welcome everyone to another edition of Diversity Focus Today. I am your host, Rickie Solid Gold Clark, along with our co-host and team, the lovely and talented Dr. Tammy Harris, and the wonderful, brand spanking new hairstylist, our attorney, Mike Murray. I had to, I couldn't resist. I look at Mike's new haircut. It's like, okay, y'all, come on, let's get with it. Oh, so anyhow,
setting.
Yeah, pace setting. This week's program, man, we've got so many things. We talked about earlier about the national situation with the president and those folks that are running or maybe running. We don't even know for sure. We talked earlier too about the Democrats, the leading candidates on that particular end. But before I do that, this, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is our 20th episode, our 20th show. So if you haven't seen it yet, you can watch all 20 binge on YouTube or on our Facebook, our YouTube channel, Diversity Focus Today with Rickie Clark, and or our Facebook, Diversity Focus Today.
And All Indiana
Podcast. All Indiana Podcast. Yes.
They're there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been told that it's all over. We've gotten comments from Phoenix, Arizona. We've got comments from Florida. Not sure what city in Florida.
Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So,
got a watcher in Germany.
Got a watcher in Germany. So, hey, we're all over the world. So, advertisers, if you want to be a part of this program, contact us. And so you need to have your commercials on our program. I'm going to tell you can contact yours truly, Rickie Clark, at 317-490-4950, or go to hiphopchatter@yahoo.com. That's my email address. That's one of them. Or, and I'm going too fast, hiphopchatter@yahoo.com for the email for me, or solidgold1952@gmail.com. I had to slow it down because see folks are like, I can't write that fast. So anyhow.
It was Pompano Beach. Is that
Pompano Beach?
Yeah, Pompano Beach. That's where they're from.
Is that where? Okay.
Yeah, they just text like,
they did?
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. Good. And then if push comes to shove, Alan Hall, who is our wonderful director and producer here at WISH TV Channel 8 in Indianapolis, Indiana. If you can't remember the other numbers and so on, what have you, Alan's got so much to do, but hey, I'm sure he'd be more than happy to take your information. We just added more things to him without him even asking, but what can we say? He's a homeboy from way back. Him and I go way, way back. I won't tell you how way back, because if you ever get a camera and you see him, you say, Rickie, how come you look a lot older than Alan? And you said, y'all go way, way back. How far is way, way back? Well, I'm not going to tell you. Now, how's that? Anyhow.
2-3 months at least.
2 or 3 months at least. And don't forget, we got a new motto. Well, it's not new, but it's an old new. Remember, it takes both black and white keys of a piano to play the Star Spangled Banner. You're going to start hearing that at the beginning of our program and at the end of our program. So, all right? So now we got that information going and out of the way. Crew, where do we start?
Thinking we was going to talk about the repositioning of the submarines or something like that.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah, Mike talked about Oh, well, I think we're
because he's no war. He's the war person.
I'm the
military.
war guy. Yeah. Don't get me started. Well, this whole discussion came up because of the news about the current occupant of the White House responding to Dmitry Medvedev, who is the former president of Russia, and now he's the deputy Security Council advisor. I'm not exactly sure what his title is, but he's basically like a deputy national security advisor.
Okay.
And those two have gotten into a tiff in social media commentary where the current occupant of the White House has made a comment about repositioning 2 U.S. nuclear submarines in response because Medvedev was making some comments about nuclear war, making some implied threats about nuclear war or warfare in general. And so we're repositioning our subs in response in order to take that very seriously was the explanation. But it struck me because, you know, part of our military strategy is that we have subs with nuclear capacity already deployed around the world, and the part of the strategy is that nobody knows, none of the adversaries knows where they are at any given point, so that if we are attacked, our nuclear sub deterrent is a second strike capability.
Right.
And so they are already deployed. They don't need to be redeployed or repositioned. Of course, the current occupant of the White House was not quite clear in what he meant when he said he's deploying nuclear subs. That could be a nuclear powered sub or a nuclear armed sub. But it just struck me like the man doesn't really know what he's talking about.
It seemed like Russia just had the tsunami, right, and the earthquake going on. Are they vulnerable in the sense of going to war with us? I know we probably outnumber them with bombs and positioning, but they're, you know, I think they're compact in their like numbers of where they're living. They're like all over Russia. Like we spread it out.
They're all over. Yeah, they're all over. They are still a credible threat to us around the world, but I think the general consensus is U.S. technology, U.S. capability is superior to what the Russians can do. But by the same token, you know, they can still be deadly, and we can't take them for granted. But you know, the conversation has been around the fact that, you know, the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Armed Forces is having a tit-for-tat with some low-level, comparatively, Russian bureaucrat over things like this. If it has to be responded to, is it something that the Commander-in-Chief of the United States needs to respond to, or are these just a couple of kids exchanging threats, you know, with real-world consequences for the rest of everyone?
And then that's so Putin not saying it. It's the
Putin didn't say it.
So I'm wondering what credibility is that in itself. Are they playing puppet with him just to strike the ego?
So.
That's what I'm thinking. They know how to play him.
They know how to
very
push
well.
that guy's buttons.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it just struck me as, wow, is this really where we are at this particular point in time? I don't think you would have seen Obama or Biden responding in that measure, in that kind of way.
Well, like you said, look who we have in the White House. So, but
The
you know,
occupant.
the occupant. So
Current occupant.
that's why we constantly preach. You got to vote. Midterms are coming up. You've got to vote. If you are not registered, or if you're unsure, you need to check with your local authorities and make sure that you are registered, because we're only still, a month and a half or less than not a month and a half, a year and a half, because it's in 2026. But the campaigns, those that are running for any form of office, normally start right after Christmas, right after the first of the year. So
the positioning is happening now.
Yeah. Repositioning and positioning, and thoughts are going, do I want to run? Do I want to rerun? Well, I think I can challenge this person, you know.
And it even goes back, I think, to a previous show. Someone asked about, you know, their willingness to, run, but their fear about it. And I was like, if it's that purpose, go for it.
Yeah.
You know, be that voice.
Yeah.
But no.
But, you know,
with caution.
That fear that you mentioned is a legitimate thing. It's a sad thing in our society, but it's a legitimate thing because there are extremists out there, and they're shooting people. They're, they're threatening families.
And even Kamala just spoke on that a little bit with the Colbert show.
And it's crazy that is the risk that people who are going to serve the American public have to take in order to provide services to us.
Yeah.
To have our voices heard in the national legislature. But that's kind of an indication of where we're going as a society. We are becoming somewhat of a Nazi-driven and Nazi-governed society. Maybe I'm using that word too loosely,
Well,
but
well,
it's
sometimes we gotta call it what we see it, and it's unfortunate. Your friend or someone you know, their voice is silenced in a sense about ICE.
yeah. We had a guest that I had spoke with, or potential guest, and she owns a Hispanic business, and we wanted her to come on and talk about some of the issues that she's having to deal with, and she shared with me that she's having a real problem keeping her employees, because they're all afraid if they go out to these respective jobs that they'll get arrested by ICE.
Even though they're documented.
Yeah, she's
Even
got
though they got
they're
their
documented
papers.
and some of them born over here in the United States.
Right.
They're United States citizens. They were born here, and she's afraid that to speak out or even mention anything, come on the show, especially because, she believes she could be targeted.
Mm-hmm.
So she's got employees that are scared, and then which is hurting her business because, she's still got clients that she's got to supply staff to. And she really doesn't know what to do. She said, at max we had 216 employees, and we always need more. And I'm having trouble fulfilling my contract obligations to, these respective businesses, these warehouses, these or other forms, the services that she was supplying potential employees to do the work on. So,
and you said, Ricky, when we were talking about this in pre-production, you said that 2/3 to 3/4 of her employees are all documented,
yes,
legal citizens, and they're the ones being affected by this, right?
They're being affected because she's had some employees that have been stopped by the police and arrested, even though they got out within 48 hours. But it was
disruptive.
Just exactly.
Expense, disruptive,
And
worry.
they're scared. I mean, look, going to anybody's jail is no fun.
Right.
Okay. So it's nerve-wracking. It's scary, and you don't know if you can get out because you don't know what's happening on the other side. You hope that you've got lawyers or people trying to get you out, but you don't know. And then ICE has the ability to move folks from one place to the other.
And information sharing is not necessarily a top priority for them.
Right.
Exactly.
So families and indeed the arrestees do not know what's going on. That's very much reminiscent of the secret police showing up at the middle of the night, knocking in somebody's door and carting people away.
They don't know who they are. They got the mask, and I've never understood that. And it could happen to anybody. And our Trump has said that before in some of his conversations with the media. Well, it might be it's the brown people today. Well, it could be the black folks. It could be the Irish folks. It could be the Jewish people. I mean, we know that
anybody that
the
they
LGBTQ
don't agree
community.
with.
Yeah, I don't agree with. I don't like or whatever. So.
And let's be clear, this is a pluralistic society, or it has been, and it feels a bit like cleansing,
Yeah.
They're trying to cleanse our communities of people that they do not necessarily agree with, or that are different from them. I don't agree with everybody, but I understand that, people have a right to differ from me. That doesn't make them bad. It makes them different.
Yeah, so I mean, that's why we constantly pound vote, register, so we can make a difference. We got this midterm, and that, if we can get the right people in the right positions, you, me, everyone can make a difference in this, and what's going on politically.
And it doesn't have to be, people who agree with you lock, stock, and barrel on every single issue. But I think we do have to have some fundamental agreement on basic terms.
Right.
Life, liberty, and the right to pursue happiness.
gonna say bare arms.
Well, that too.
That too.
But certainly the right to due process, the rule of law, not the rule of somebody's whim.
Yeah. So I want to remind everybody, because you can be a part of this program. You can go to Facebook, Tammy.
Facebook.com at Diversity Focus Today. And then YouTube, Diversity Focus Today with Rickie Clark.
Okay.
You can leave comments and like and subscribe on there. And then All Indiana Podcast on Wish TV website as well.
So you get us podcast, TV, Facebook, YouTube, and we're getting comments from different parts of the country, as Mike spoke, also different parts of the world. So we're out there, and so we want you to be a part of it. We want everybody to be a part of it, including advertisers. And if you want to advertise, please do so. Contact us, and we will have somebody follow up with you on that. Plus, we do have a GoFundMe account. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So the GoFundMe account is to support our voices, we the people voices, your voices, whether it's Democrat, Republican, black, white, diverse, right? Independent, because that's what we the people are and America is. So I think our GoFundMe page could be found on Facebook as well, and our YouTube channel.
Because I'm sure there's some folks out there that they want to keep us silent.
Right. We're waiting for it. We open invitations. Like I said, we don't bite.
No.
Yeah,
Very supportive.
I would love to hear from some Republicans. I would love to hear from people who voted Republican and maybe have second thoughts now, in addition to Democrats and independents. I want to hear, what people are thinking, because I'm real curious how we are where we happen to be right now.
Well,
and you have
Rickie,
some comments, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I've got the comments. Folks have said, I voted for President Trump, but I wouldn't do it again. I made a huge mistake. And this is coming from black, brown, white, everyone, because, he sold us a bill of goods, and now he's selling us down the river without a paddle. So we've got to, we're the only ones that can make the change. We the people, like you said, we the people.
Rickie, did you say that you had heard from the governor's office?
Yes, the governor of Indiana, Governor Mike Braun's, his office, his PR communication person contacted me, and obviously they've heard the program, seen the program, and so they want to ask if they could include us in their press releases. Or, as when they're sending out press releases, make sure that we get their releases.
Have their voice that way.
Yeah. So I said, we'd be more than happy to. And incidentally, we'd love to have the governor on.
Yeah.
And she said, well, the governor's very busy, but I will see what I could do. And I said, okay, well, he can do a Zoom call. Well, the governor's very busy.
So is that one of those political flip-offs?
I think I got flipped off. Yes, I did. But that's okay. We'll just keep on. And the mere fact that he is aware of us is good.
Well, we have seen a little bit of how at least one Republican representative in this state regards responding to people, Senator Banks, and how he responded to that guy who lost his job. He just basically said, well, maybe you deserved it, and didn't even want to talk to the guy.
As he was getting on the elevator.
Right.
So.
Yeah, Jim Banks, a junior senator, just, he hasn't even been a senator for that long, because he got elected. He was a congressman, and he got elected as a senator this past election. So he's a Trumper. He's been a Trumper from way back. And, yeah, the comments that he made to the gentleman that lost his job was really uncalled for. It was, to me, heartless for him to say what he said.
Right.
Well, I think it demonstrated a clear disregard for listening to the concerns of people.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of his constituents, and he basically told the guy to F.O.
So what do you think about the Stephen Colbert show being canceled? This being the last run
His
of
last
the late,
year?
Well, even a late night show in general. It's like they're shutting it down, and I believe the owner of Paramount and CBS made that decision, and it's a Trumper and supporter billionaire.
I think they did that
guy.
because they're being bought by
there's a
another
merger
conglomerate.
going on.
And they needed the president, they need the FCC to approve it. Boom. And I think that's one of the reasons why they, and Colbert, of course, being a late night comedian, has been very critical of the Trump administration.
And even more so now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You
got nothing to lose
they
now.
can't even say the ratings aren't there because the ratings are over and beyond here lately.
You know what? I started watching him again because I had refused to watch him because of what he did to, or tried to do, to Denzel Washington on his show earlier this year. Earlier this year, which was totally, and that's another topic. We'll have to get into that.
I must say, I didn't remember that.
I don't know what that's about.
Well, Denzel Washington was on the program, of course, promoting a particular movie that he was in. And for whatever reason, Colbert started going political. Well, what do you think about this? And since you're a very popular actor and you've been out for a long time, and certainly you would have a voice or an opinion. And Denzel said, I'm not here for that. I'm here to promote my movie. Politically is my personal. So I'm not going to do that. And Colbert kept on and kept on and kept on. And this lasted during almost the entire show, and so Denzel just got fed up and walked off.
Oh, wow.
And the audience, part of the audience walked out too, because they thought that Stephen Colbert had went
too far.
Even his producer said that, tried to get him to no, he's here to promote the movie, not. Right. And so ever since then, and that's also on YouTube. If you missed the show, you can go to that and look up.
What month was that about?
I don't. Just look up Stephen Colbert and Denzel Washington, and it'll pop up.
And
it will, in fact, pop up.
And so that was how long ago, though?
This was the early part of this year, I believe.
Okay. So you had stopped kind of watching them.
Yeah, I refuse to watch him anymore.
Okay.
But now when he got his show is being terminated, I'm thinking, well, I don't know what. Did Denzel have a little bit to do with that? That's probably Trump, because they needed to get this stamp of approval, get the FCC to let them
and the
do the
FCC
merger.
means what?
Federal Communication Commission.
Okay.
That governs all the broadcasts, radio and TV.
Yeah, so there basically was a lot of money at stake.
Yes.
And they're capitulating to the will of the current occupant
Yeah.
of the White House.
Exactly.
Of the
So
White
that's
House.
why for them to, late night is, you know what?
Right.
Late night has been late night for years.
That's
You got to go
for
way back to
decades.
Jack
Yeah.
Parr and Johnny Carson and then
My mom would watch that.
everybody.
Johnny
I'm
Carson.
trying to think. What was my boy?
Jay Leno.
No, well, Jay, but before even that, he played with Eddie Murphy on several movies.
Arsenio.
Arsenio Hall.
show.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you got to go back to
Yeah.
shows like that. Late night is now late night,
Right.
and so everyone expects after 11:30 to go and watch on late night. That's to see who's going to be on. That's how Hollywood and television
Everything
produce, promote their shows, their movies, or you promote a book, or just promote folks in general. So for CBS to say, we're going to cancel the whole late night. We're just going to get rid of it. What?
Right.
It's money. They're
Well,
afraid of losing the money.
But they say, they lose $40,000 a show. Boy, they fill a commercial.
You wasn't losing any money.
Right.
Their concern was the greater impact financially if they didn't get their merger approved, and that had to be approved by the FCC, which is
Controlled
influenced
by
by
that
Donald
the
Trump.
Yes.
They all work for Donald Trump. Okay.
But the thing is, for them, it may have been a business decision that's going to benefit them in the short term, maybe the long term. But for the society as a whole, what you're talking about is an incursion, an abridgment of the fundamental right of free speech.
Exactly.
The administration, the current occupant of the White House, is doing stuff to preclude and foreclose and shut down any criticism of him or anything that he's doing.
And that's the museum, the Smithsonian,
Yes.
Smithsonian Museum.
Yes.
The take away that he was impeached.
Right.
Anything negative, he want that removed.
Yeah. Every American should be concerned about
Yes.
that. Because today it's CBS, it's Stephen Colbert, it's any late night host, it's any public figure, anybody who has a public forum to launch criticism. But, that's one step removed from the secret police showing up at your house because somebody reported that you said something negative about him or one of his cronies. That's very dangerous. As an attorney, I'm very concerned about what that means for the rule of law and order. I'm very concerned about what that means, what that portends for constitutional government.
Right. And it's unfortunate just listening to our conversation. We talked about the eyes. We talked about our television. It's all about speech. Even the Democrats who walked out in Texas,
in Texas,
standing up for free speech and what they think is right is being punished. We're going to arrest you, which you can't, as you mentioned before. But it is kind of scary and concerning. All the more reason to support podcasts, because even I think Stephen Beware is going to something with Jasmine Crockett. They said that they were going to connect and create something with the other.
Yeah,
shows.
I'm very hopeful that he finds another forum
outlet
that he can continue his speech, because we can't allow a despot, a tyrant, to ruin our ability to criticize the government. That is fundamental to the United States form of government, unless we're content to become something else, like Russia.
And we've seen it at the town hall meetings, people being arrested and taken away from just speaking out. And time and place for everything, but still you have that voice. They shut them down in the middle of testimony. And
even U.S. senators.
That's what I'm saying. It's getting ridiculous in that regard.
Well, I believe what he did to Colbert, it has already begun to backfire, because all the other late night programs and the news on both cable and regular news are talking about it, and will continue to talk about it. And and if CBS goes through with all of this, I expect their numbers during that time span is going to go straight.
Well, people have been canceling memberships for Paramount. I've seen that. They've lost over 100-something million subscriptions already.
I have to think about that, but they got Star Trek, and I can't lose Star Trek.
Can you YouTube it? No. I know a few Trekkies out there.
Yeah, okay.
My cousin was named after one
other
of the
than
characters.
That, but
no, not Spock, Tanagri.
But, if they want,
Star Wars,
they can put Diversity Focus Today on, and Colbert's Time 5,
Here we go.
Good one.
We'll take that, and I'm sorry, Stephen, but, they prefer us rather than you. So,
we got to make good with Braun. He got a good friend up there in the occupancy.
Remember, Braun he's 4 years, so he could be in and out too. So we just have to hold on. We just have to vote, continue to vote. So we got to do that.
Hey, Ricky, I know we're getting short of time, but before we go, I wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to talk about Bubba Wallace.
Okay, Bubba Wallace. Share that, Mike. Share that real quick.
He won the Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. First African American to ever have that honor. Congratulations, Bubba.
Yay.
Okay, we got to go. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you next time. Remember, it takes both the black and white keys of a piano to play the Star Spangled Banner.